Maybe it's the 8 million pairs of eyes fixed on your every move. Or maybe it's inside you, the pressure to rise above the smog and make your mark.
Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head. Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head.
With all that body heat and brick bearing down, there are deadlines to be met, and the Irish are on the clock. A win against a city neighbor is imperative.
Pressure, 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 pressure. Pressure, 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 pressure.
It's time to block out all that noise and deal with a pressure that is about to explode. And welcome back to New York City, where the pressure is squarely on the shoulders of the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, trying to play their way into an at-large bid for the NCAA tournament. We've got championship week coverage presented by 7-Up here at Madison Square Garden. First round action from the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. Already we've had 2 games, one today, one tonight. West Virginia easily over Providence to advance to play BC, and Georgetown hung on to beat Seton Hall by 5. They'll take on UConn tomorrow night. Syracuse awaits the winner of this game between Rutgers and Notre Dame. Hi, everybody. Dan Shulman, Len Elmore back with you. And plain and simple, Len, does Notre Dame need a win to get in?
Well, it's that simple. It's about a win. Another bubble, another team. Notre Dame 5-5 over the last 10, and that's a key indicator for the selection committee. A loss to Rutgers is a bad loss, and they need to leave a good taste on the committee's palate.
The Irish were a bubble team that did not get in last year. They're a bubble team hoping to get in this year. Depends on how they do tonight and perhaps beyond here in New York City. Let's go to the third member of our team and welcome back in Mark Jones.
Yeah, guys, Notre Dame's sense of urgency began right after the loss Saturday against Pittsburgh. Early Sunday morning, Coach Mike Brey got his team back into the gym. They worked hard. They scrimmaged for about 2.5 hours. Says he wanted to get his team back into a very good flow, and he told me he wanted his team to get into good habits once again, which they did. After the session, he told his team, guys, I don't want you guys thinking or answering any questions about the NCAA tournament. Your goal is to advance in the Big East tournament, guys. Mike Brey exuding confidence and poise prior to the game in the locker room.
Yeah, Jones, if they take care of business here, things will work out for them in the bigger picture, but they've got to beat Rutgers here tonight. A look at our Star Watch and a couple of guards who, when they're shooting the ball well, can really fill it up.
Well, Quincy Dewey, a sophomore, 4 consecutive double-figure games coming into this game at 9-18. His team is feeling no pressure. And Chris Thomas, a marvelous career, one of 3 players in the NCAA with 2,000 points and 800 assists. He's going to be called upon to lead again.
Both teams feature a 3-guard lineup. Chris Quinn, by the way, playing with a sprained ankle. We'll see if that limits his effectiveness. Byron Joins, the big man in the middle for Rutgers, is 6'9" and 270 pounds. And just a week ago against the Irish, he ripped down 15 rebounds. Now, Notre Dame did win that game by 10 in South Bend, but they had a pretty tough time with Rutgers. Tonight's starting lineups are presented by Staples, and tonight's game could be seen in stunning ESPN high definition presented by Phillips. A nice crowd for the first night of the tournament here in New York City. A lot of folks from Jersey, no doubt, to see Rutgers, and a lot of folks to see Notre Dame because the Irish with fans wherever they go. The Irish in gold and Rutgers in red as this game is underway.
Well, Notre Dame opens up in man-to-man, and Rutgers can afford to be a little bit patient, recognizing they're playing a team with a high anxiety level. You exercise some patience, they might make some mistakes.
Rutgers, a big disappointment during the season, 9-18, 2-14 in league play, but they're off to a good start tonight. Marquise Webb, the hoop and the harm, and the Scarlet Knights score first.
You know, when you're in Notre Dame situation and you recognize this is a need-win situation, you sometimes come out there with that anxiety. You maybe play outside of yourself. You do a little bit too much in the opening possessions or two. And that was a perfect example of getting them spread out and Rutgers being able to exploit it, just moving the ball a little bit.
Webb, a sophomore out of Patterson, New Jersey, knocks down the free throw, makes it 3-0. It probably seems like about 10 years ago for Rutgers fans, but they started off the season winning at Charlotte. Charlotte's going to the tournament, and then beating St. Mary's. And I think St. Mary's is going to the tournament. But boy, did things go downhill in a hurry for the Scarlet Knights this year. Now they're just playing for pride.
Well, again, another young team. They've got a few seniors sprinkled in, but the core of this team, particularly with Doobie, a bunch of sophomores trying to get it done.
The Irish really looking to establish Francis inside early, and he will go to the line after drawing the foul. The Irish are known by and large, Len, as a three-point shooting team with Thomas and Quinn and Falls, but they're obviously looking to get Francis going early.
Well, that's how they're going to be effective. You got to establish that inside game, that inside threat. That forces the defenses to make an adjustment inside and gives your shooters around the perimeter more room and more looks.
And if Francis can get Joins in foul trouble, and that was the first on Joins, Notre Dame's got more bodies inside than the Scarlet Knights do. Mike Gray could bring in the Cornets. Jordan Rick off the bench. 5th year at Notre Dame. First 3 years they went to the NCAA tournament. Last year, as mentioned, went to the NIT. Were very disappointed about it. Added Dennis Lattimore to the program this year. Came into the season talking a very good game, feeling they had perhaps Final Four potential. Nice offensive rebound there. Skying is Joins for the rebound. But the Irish have had kind of an up-and-down season and have lost 3 of their last 4.
And speaking of the NIT, this Rutgers team, a lot of these guys were on that runner-up team of last year. They're very comfortable on this floor.
Yeah, last year, both of these teams were NIT, and Rutgers went further than the Irish did. And all the way to the championship game before losing to Michigan in the final here in New York, as mentioned. Ricky Shields gets the friendly bounce, and Rutgers off to a good start.
See, the Rutgers guards are uniquely suited to put pressure on the Irish guards because of their ability to shoot the ball outside and their athleticism and taking people off the bounce.
Chris Thomas with a turnover. Back come the Scarlet Knights. Shields and Doobie will shoot from anywhere, basically, once they cross the timeline. They've got the green light, and they've both got deep, deep range. Swinging it around the perimeter. Again, both teams with a 3-guard look and a lot of outside shooters. There's one of them in Shields.
Oh, man. No conscience.
No. Shields is already Rutgers' career leader in 3-point field goals. Broke Jeff Billett's record earlier this season. Lattimore, the transfer from Arizona. Nice bounce pass off to Francis, and Francis will lay it in, and I think that's Joins who just picked up his 2nd foul for Rutgers.
Wow, that's a good decision by Lattimore. Nice job, him resetting, and once he got it, you look at the cut right there by Francis. Lattimore finds him. Francis just too mobile for Joins.
So Francis has been all the offense for the Irish, and that is the 2nd foul on Byron Joins. And the starting center for the Scarlet Knights has to sit down 2.5 minutes into the game. Replaced by Jimmy Inglis, 6'9", 260, a junior out of the junior college ranks. And he had a good game against the Irish last week with 12 points and 6 rebounds off the bench. They're going to need him to be big here tonight.
Well, he's a big body who bangs, but also he's hit 13 of his last 21 field goals, so he can give you a little bit of offense as well.
Doobie being defended by Quinn. It's Falls chasing Shields around, and Shields knocks down another deep 3.
Didn't even draw iron on that one.
This is one of those dangerous teams because they've got so many outside shooters. If they're having a hot night, they can hang with anybody. Francis, another inside look, and draws another foul, this time on Inglis.
Well, Dan, you touched on it. Shields will shoot from anywhere, and anywhere right here is beyond the pro 3-point arc. Look where his feet are. And just nothing but net.
You used the term in the first game, Seton Hall playing with the house money. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. The same can be said for Rutgers here tonight. And they just played the Irish a week ago. Gary Waters' team has had a very difficult season, finishing dead last in the Big East.
And, you know, essentially, it's such a motivator to be able, if you're not going anywhere, to deny someone else the opportunity to go somewhere. And I've been in that situation maybe once or twice on the pro level, playing with teams not in the playoffs, but playing against teams trying to get into the playoffs. And it's a good feeling. Just keep them out.
A steal by the Irish. Falls. Quinn. Lattimore inside, and a travel on Dennis Lattimore as the Irish miss an opportunity for an easy 2.
Oh, that's a tremendous job right there. Ball movement. It's just a shame that Lattimore did shuffle his feet. And Notre Dame may ultimately win the war of attrition here. They keep going inside. They're going to draw fouls. They're going to have to go deep in the Rutgers bench. Whoa.
Close, huh?
Yeah, you got to have 2 out of 3, though, over that line in order to call it back court.
Tim Higgins right there looking it over along with John Cowan and Gary Prager, our officials here tonight.
And by 2 out of 3, I mean ball, feet, body, any 2 of those combinations.
Ollie Bailey to miss. Inglis keeps it alive. Great job on the offensive glass by the big guy. Well, Rutgers looks like they have come to play here tonight. Here comes Shields off a screen. Got 2 threes already.
Hello. I was going to say, he wasn't even square. That got out of his hands as soon as he caught it.
Well, this is the style that Rutgers has used at times this year. Doobie and Shields just launching shot after shot. Thomas inside to Lattimore. Pushed way into the corner, but now fouled by Ollie Bailey. So Inglis with 1, Bailey with 1, and joins on the bench with 2. Big guys with some foul trouble, but Ricky Shields with 8 early points. Rutgers leading the Irish by 6 here in the big city. ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2005 Big East Championship, presented by Aeropostale, is brought to you by 7-Up. If you want 100% natural lemon and lime flavors, the only way to go is up. And in part by New York Life, the company you keep. Well, the Irish hoping the company they keep is the other 64 teams who are headed to the Big Dance. Championship week presented by 7-Up, what is pretty much viewed as a must-win game for Notre Dame if they're going to improve their chances of getting an at-large bid. Remember, Rutgers and Notre Dame met just a week ago in South Bend. Notre Dame won by 10, shot better than 50%. Colin Falls, a deadly shooter from outside, had 5 threes for the Irish. Ricky Shields, the great outside shooter, one of them for Rutgers, was just 1 for 8, 2 points in the game, making up for lost time here tonight. He's already got 8 points, knocked down a couple of threes.
Well, certainly, and that 3-point shot was a big factor in that game. Rutgers only 3 of 15 in that first game, and they out-rebounded Notre Dame.
Yep. Which is a concern for the Irish. Rutgers off to a good start, leading by 6. Tarin Francis has all 5 Notre Dame points. Notre Dame's turned the ball over. Their outside shooters have not even had a chance to get some looks.
And Chris Quinn having a difficult time turning the corner on Quincy Doobie.
Francis stumbling, fortunate to find Quinn. The floater won't go. Francis, the uncontested offensive rebound, with Jimmy Inglis sitting on the seat of his pants underneath the basket.
But Inglis took a chance right there to try to draw the foul. No call. And he's out of the play. You got to be sure when you're the big man, the last line of defense, if you go down, there's somebody to cover you.
Shields to Inglis, and he draws the foul. Jordan Cornette, I believe, over the back. And Rutgers playing very well. 13 points in the first 5 minutes.
Well, a little bit of outside. Now we see a little bit of inside on the penetration right there. Inglis doing a nice job on the baseline, getting his hands ready. And he has a double pump to get that ball up there, but that shows you the strength of the guys on the front line for Rutgers. You know, you got some wide bodies there who don't mind the contact.
And with Byron Jones on the bench with 2 early fouls, Inglis came in for him, and he's going to have to be a big factor here tonight. Chris Thomas with the left-hand floater off the glass. Thomas making his 127th consecutive start for the Irish. Has started every game of his 4-year career. Named 3rd team All Big East yesterday. Doobie with his first points of the night. Thomas, a nice look ahead to Quinn. Looks okay so far despite the recently sprained left ankle. Cornette, nice feed inside, but Francis again just a little trouble catching the ball and turned what could have been an easy shot into a difficult move because he lost that half second. Doobie tries to accelerate by Quinn. Good help there by Francis defensively. Bailey over Francis. Another friendly bounce. That's 2 down there that Rutgers has enjoyed. Didn't look like they were going to go in, and they did.
Yeah, but to the credit of the shooters, they're getting a high enough arc where when it finally hits the rim with the backspin on it, it's just going to die there. Too many guys are shooting flat.
Thomas tried to go up and under and missed the layup.
Well, Chris Thomas anticipated contact that time and got none, and it threw him off.
Thomas, Notre Dame's third all-time leading scorer and the school's all-time leader in assists and steals. Near the end of a good 4-year career. Kept alive, but into the hands of Colin Falls. Falls is coming off a game with 8 threes Saturday in a loss against Pittsburgh. Thomas the pull-up. And here comes Shields and the Scarlet Knights. Shields the pull-up from 15. And the rebound to Francis. Let's bring in Mark Jones. Jonesy?
Guys, Notre Dame shooting 38% from the field right now. Mike Bray told me before the game the key for them offensively was going to be their balance of inside-out play. Right now, guys, you'd have to say they have the inside portion with Francis, but certainly lacking from the perimeter, guys.
And usually, if it's going to be something like that, it will be the other way around, where they're too perimeter-oriented and not enough for the inside. But they've really looked to establish Francis here early tonight.
And they've done a good job. They've been looking for him, and Francis, for the most part, has delivered.
Cornette delivers the 3, the assist to Thomas. Jordan Cornette, at about 6'10", a very good defensive player, great shot blocker, likes to take the 3, although he's not all that proficient at it, 25% on the season, but he keeps firing away, and he knocks down his first attempt here tonight.
And at 6'10", with his athleticism, there's not a day that goes by that Mike Bray wishes that he would try it on the blocks. Just try it once.
Out of bounds, off Rutgers. ESPN2's coverage of college basketball's championship week, presented by 7-Up, continues tomorrow during the day with a couple of great-looking games. Quarterfinal action, West Virginia, fresh off a win today over Providence, will take on the top seed in the Big East, Boston College. And then how's this for a quarterfinal? Pittsburgh and Villanova. Villanova, the 4 seed, Pittsburgh, the 5 in the Big East. Carl Krauser with the Panthers taking on Allen Ray, Curtis Sumter, and the Villanova Wildcats. You and I did a Villanova win over Pittsburgh at the Pavilion a few weeks ago. That is a dangerous-looking basketball team right now.
Well, they certainly are with that 3-guard offense in Nardi, Ray, and Foy. And then you add Curtis Sumter, who's a tough matchup.
Rick Cornette with the offensive rebound and putback off the miss from Jordan Cornette. No relation, spell the names differently. Cornette averaging 3.5 points, 2.5 rebounds per game, but exploded recently against Providence for 14 and 14. Inglis, a little bit out of control. Rebound, Jordan Cornette.
And you're right, out of control. The guards have to regain control for Rutgers.
Thomas inside to Rick Cornette, and he lays it in.
Well, that's what confidence will do for you. You know, you put up a double-double, something you hadn't done in a long while, and you start to begin to realize that, hey, I can play this game a little bit. And if your approach is confident, you're going to have success more times than not.
Len, Colin Falls is not taking a shot. Chris Quinn's only taking 1. The Irish are getting it all done inside right now, as Mark Jones talked about. Here's Joel Wiggin. Driving on Thomas, stripped. Cornette comes up with it. Now Omari Israel, the wrong guy at the wrong place, trying to make a catch. And they blew a fast break opportunity. Pull up Joel Wiggin. And Dan Waterstrat, freshly into the game of the Scarlet Knights, over the back, commits the foul. Well, we've got quite a pace here in the early going. Notre Dame not looking for the outside shot, going inside strong. They're back within 1. Along with Len Elmore and Mark Jones, I'm Dan Shulman. Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. Championship week presented by 7-Up. First round action for the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. Everybody seems to agree the Big East has 5 locks. Then you've got 3 teams, Notre Dame, West Virginia, Georgetown, still with some work to do. Len, I asked you off the top of the show, but for those who may be joining us a little bit late, what does Notre Dame need to do to get in as a win tonight enough, in your opinion? I know. Play crystal ball here for me.
I think it is. I mean, if you take a look at what they've been able to do this season, quality wins at Indiana, beating Villanova, UConn, BC. I just think that at 17 wins, even subliminally for selection committee members, that it's not quite enough. 18 wins, you can begin to make a strong argument.
Last year, Notre Dame was left on the outside looking in, went to the NIT. This year, they appear to have a slightly stronger case. Doobie, no. Waterstrat, yes. There's the freshman from Dearborn Heights, Michigan, tips it in with the left hand.
You know, you talk about Notre Dame, 5 of their 10 losses were by 5 points or less. So they're a competitive team. I mean, I think they're right on the verge, but losing to Rutgers here is a bad loss.
Yep.
And that's not the taste you want to leave in the selection committee's mouth.
Rick Cornett playing very confidently. Comes over the offensive rebound, but missed the shot. And now Omari Israel, I believe, over the back, committing the foul. A look at some of the close losses for Notre Dame. As you can see, a lot of them came early. And the one I think that stands out in the minds of college basketball fans was that big Saturday night game on ESPN at the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, when they absolutely had Syracuse beat and then missed some free throws, turned it over, got a technical, and lost that game.
Well, we mentioned it in the first game with Georgetown that, you know, the way you get into this tournament is by peaking at the right time. You know, playing 500 in some instances will not get it. And that's the shadow of doubt that Notre Dame wants to remove.
West Virginia now with 19 wins, including 2 wins over Pittsburgh, so that looks pretty good. 8-8 finishing the conference play. They'll play BC tomorrow on ESPN2 at noon Eastern. Francis with a rebound, his 5th already. So Turin Francis, 7 points and 5 rebounds, off to a great start tonight for the Irish, who have yet to get any scoring from outside. Jordan Cornett, nice drive, left hand, and the Irish are back within 1.
And that's more like it with regard to Jordan Cornett. He can always get that 3, but he's got too much skill to settle for it.
Wigan to Doobie. Again, they'll shoot from anywhere, anytime. This is the 3. Long shots, they'll equal long rebounds. And now Quinn has been called for the foul and is injured. Second foul on Quinn after that big collision.
When you're going after the ball in loose ball situation, you can't be hesitant. And you see Chris Quinn kind of a little indecisive as to how to go after that ball. Shields had in his mind he was going after it all the way.
Boy, and Quinn is a tough kid. Is in a lot of pain over on the Notre Dame bench right now. We told you that he suffered a sprained left ankle about a week ago. This does not appear to have anything to do with that. He looks like he got knocked woozy in that collision.
Yeah, he got the wind knocked out of him. It's a strong move to the ball, and that's what being decisive does, being the aggressor.
So Thomas back into the game. Byron joins back into the game with 2 fouls. A nice jump hook. We saw John Thompson III play Brandon Bowman with 2 fouls in the first half in Georgetown's win over Seton Hall, and that turned into one of the key decisions in the game. Now Gary Waters has brought Joins back in, and it's already paid dividends. Speaking of paying dividends, Jordan Cornett, another 3, and he's tied it up.
Well, the reason Gary Waters can bring Joins back in the game because he's comfortable with the way Bailey and Inglis were playing. So that in the event, unfortunate event for Rutgers, that Joins gets that 3rd foul, he can have some comfort that those guys can come in and at least hold the fort.
Big time move by Shields, but he missed the shot. And we got a timeout called by Notre Dame. 30-second timeout taken by the Irish to save possession. Championship week presented by 7-Up rolls on tomorrow as we give you some action out of the ACC. The Miami Hurricanes, led by Guillermo Diaz, one of the high flyers in college basketball, taking on the Virginia Cavaliers tomorrow night, 7 Eastern on ESPN. And a look at the ACC brackets, as much intrigue there, Lynn, as there is here in the Big East tournament. Everybody knows about Wake and Carolina and Duke. But Maryland's already lost to Clemson twice. They can ill afford to lose to the Tigers for a 3rd time. A 4-5 matchup between Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech. Miami's got some work to do. NC State's got some work to do. So much left to be decided.
Yeah, and you talk about perception with Clemson, and you see Chris Quinn looking like he's going back into the locker room. But that would be kind of a death knell of Maryland's hopes if they lose to Clemson a 3rd time.
Holland falls from outside. Air ball on his first attempt. One of the best 3-point shooters in the country. Shields will lay it in, and he's fouled by Thomas.
And again, in a situation like this, a need situation, you can't settle for reaching on defense. Got to move your feet.
Rutgers giving the Irish all they can handle right now, leading Notre Dame by 2 here at the Garden.
I think get this pressure pouring out of my head. Can't get this pressure pouring out of my head.
Now, all the pressure's on Notre Dame. There's no doubt about that. And generally during the season, Mike Bray's a guy who talks a lot about the NCAA tournament, what you need to do to get in, although he's backed off that some in the last few days. In his office and in the Irish locker room, they've got big posters of a blank set of NCAA tournament brackets culminating in St. Louis. He wants this to be the ultimate goal for this team. But after kind of a disheartening week, home losses to UCLA and Pittsburgh, he basically said about his team, especially his older players, hey, it's up to them right now. They've got to go out and do it. They've got to show that they belong in the NCAA tournament. Carter crashing the glass after the miss by Cornette, with a rebound brought down by Byron Jones. Shields on the drive. Has it blocked, and then it sticks in, and that'll be a jump ball situation, and the arrow takes it back to Notre Dame.
Well, Rutgers asserting themselves on the glass and trying to fast break in that situation, and Francis got a piece of it, just enough to allow that ball to get wedged right there.
Have you ever seen a ball get wedged after a partial block, as opposed to just kind of a brick shot?
Not that I remember.
I don't remember ever seeing that before.
But it was just enough.
Yep. Rutgers leading Notre Dame by 2. Colin Falls, talk about your contested threes. Boy, he had a man right in his face.
Well, that was frustration. Falls not able to get any shots off, and he was just itching just to release the ball one time.
Remember, no Chris Quinn right now. Knocked Woozy, it looked like, in that big collision, and left the playing area, went back into the locker room a few minutes ago. So 3 big men in the game right now for the Irish. Jordan Cornette, Turin Francis, and Dennis Lattimore. Here's Manny Casada with a strong drive. Rebound Francis. Here's Thomas, named 3rd team All-Big East, as mentioned yesterday. 4 years in this league, twice 2nd team All-Big East, twice 3rd team All-Big East. And another assist for Chris Thomas, another bucket for Turin Francis. Francis now with 9.
And Turin Francis about as active as I've seen him in a long time. You know, the last 4 games averaging about 12 points, 8 rebounds.
And Len, that's another difference between the Irish of this year and the Irish of last year. They didn't have Francis the last half of last season. He had back surgery to miss the final 12 games.
Yeah, I mean, not having a presence with that capability really affects your perimeter ability.
Casada evidently got the same memo about the green light that Doobie and Shields have.
I'm not sure, though. He's a freshman. His light might be amber with caution.
Freshman out of Washington Heights. And now a foul away from the ball, I believe, on Casada.
You know, people talk a lot about Chris Thomas and his scoring ability, but what's most underlooked is ability to set things up. It's his drive that forced Joins to come and help, and that allowed Francis to sneak to the open spot to the free throw line. The penetration skills of Chris Thomas have been sorely underappreciated.
I cannot remember a Big East player who gets more scrutiny and whose play brings so many different opinions.
Well, I think the biggest problem was he's a victim of his own success. He came in as a freshman, much heralded, and he delivered his freshman year. And he may not have been able to totally equal the numbers that he put up as a freshman, but his value is still unmistakable.
This is the 3 there. Marquise Webb pushing it for Rutgers, and now Doobie's going to back it out. Look at this mismatch here. Shields being guarded by 6'10" Cornette, because Rutgers is playing with 3 guards, and with Quinn out for the Irish, Notre Dame's playing with 3 bigs.
And Cornette showing me something, being able to stay down and keep the guards from penetrating.
Doobie to Waterstrap. Off the fingertips of Francis, but saved by Thomas, and here come the Irish looking for the lead. Thomas is scoring and shooting both career lows this year in his senior season. Look at the active Lattimore, but he's blocked twice by the freshman Waterstrap.
See, the mistake in that sequence, time score situation, you got a chance to take the lead. Chris Thomas made up his mind he was going to do that instead of working the ball and getting some better looking shots.
You can see Rutgers has gone cold. They've now missed 14 of their last 17, yet they're still tied here with Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's done a nice job of forcing Rutgers to drive the ball instead of allowing them to shoot.
Shields will finish after the 4-on-1 break. And the Scarlet Knights, trying to play spoiler, are up 2 here on Notre Dame. The Irish at 17-10, undeniably on the bubble, in desperate need of a win here tonight after losing 3 of their previous 4. Getting all they can handle here in the first-round coverage from the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. Fouled by Waterstrat. 3:54 to go in the first half. Notre Dame needing a win, down by 2.
Hi, Chris Fowler, Digger Phelps on the 7-Up halftime report. Appropriate urgency from the first 2 Big East bubble teams. Gilbert in Conference USA, and there's already some joy in Jersey tonight.
Well, the Irish down 17-9, but Rick Carnett coming off that bench. He got him going with points in the paint and controlling the boards. That's a difference in the game.
It's a Notre Dame game. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to the wire. Dan Len, we'll see you at halftime.
All right, Chris, Digger, looking forward to it. You can hear the urgency in Digger's voice as he watches the Irish.
Yeah.
Rutgers up on Notre Dame by 2. Let's get a Notre Dame injury update with Mark Jones.
Yeah, guys, Chris Quinn in the locker room right now. I'm being told that he has a bruised clavicle. He's undergoing x-rays as we speak, and they'll get a diagnosis after that. But the ironic thing is that he sprained his ankle against this same Rutgers team in the last meeting. Back to you guys.
All right, Mark, thank you. Mike Bray will tell you that Chris Quinn is as tough a player as he has ever coached. And if there's any way Quinn can get back into the game, he will. But it sure doesn't sound all that promising for a return tonight right now. And Quinn's a better than 13-point-per-game guy. If it weren't for Turin Francis, the Irish would be in real trouble right now. The Notre Dame guards have been a virtual non-factor offensively. It's been all Turin Francis and Jordan Cornette.
Well, one of the things that Chris Quinn, beyond his ability to put the ball in the basket, and he led the Big East in three-point percentage, is that he's a terrific ball handler. He's allowed Chris Thomas to be able to roam offensively, and Quinn will handle the playmaking ability. So it gives Chris Thomas a chance to be the offensive guy. And right now he's had to handle the playmaking chore, and that's taken him kind of out of this offense. And when he tries to get into the offense, he's almost forced.
The Irish have missed 8 of their last 9 shots. With Quinn out, Thomas basically can't come out of the game, as Lena mentioned, because he's got to be the ball handler all the time. Boy, look at this contact. Bodies all over the place, and it's going to go against the Irish. Out of bounds off the Irish. No foul called, so it'll be Rutgers ball. And there's the lack of the offense from the Notre Dame guards. These 3 players combined for 40 points per game during the season, and they've got a grand total of 2 here tonight.
But fortunately for the Irish, and I think they realize they're not a 2-man team or a 3-man team. They've got some guys. Thank goodness for the Cornette guys.
Look at that shot by Doobie. And look at that rebound by Ollie Bailey. What a putback.
And that's what allows Gary Waters to feel confident in putting Byron Jones back in the game with 2 fouls, because he knows he can pull him in and out. And he's got guys stepping in to the breach.
Bailey, a freshman out of Chicago and a member of the Big East All-Rookie team, as announced yesterday. Rick Cornette, a wild shot. Russell Carter underneath, lays it in and ties the game. And Carter is going to be a very important player for Notre Dame tonight, Len, if Chris Quinn cannot return.
Well, Russell Carter, athletic, coming on as a player, brings instant energy and offense. And again, you look at the rebound right there. Ollie Bailey on the other end. And you got guys coming off the bench with a little bit of experience coming in here with an awful lot of confidence.
Carter completes the 3-point play, just about, actually just exceeding his season scoring average of 2.9. Colin Falls returns. Jordan Cornette sits down. Notre Dame in what is seen by most as a must-win game for them if they have aspirations of going to the NCAA tournament. Now back on top of Rutgers, the last-place team in the Big East. 2-14 during the regular season, but this is a 1-point game.
Well, I had to smile because I remember in the first game we promoted this as another bunch of guys dialing long distance. And right now for both teams, except for that flurry at the beginning of this game, for both teams it's been their inside toughness that's made the difference.
Shields to Inglis for the Rutgers lead. Falls another miss. Great save by Shields. Well, Shields doing it all, and you got to give him credit. He hit some shots early, and he could have just kept jacking them up and jacking them up, as Doobie just did right there. Boy, this is a dangerous team when these 2 guards are firing away. Shields got it started at the defensive end, and his running mate Quincy Doobie finished it up with a tray.
Well, it's all about the battle for that orange space right there, the paint. And Rutgers doing a nice job. And in transition, when you got jump shooters like that, it's very difficult to be able to defend it because you never know when they're going to pull up.
He actually stepped inside the pro line for that one. That's like a layup for him. ESPN2's coverage of college basketball's championship week presented by 7-Up continues tomorrow. Quarterfinal action for the Big East Championship presented by Aeropostale. West Virginia, another bubble team, and a winner over Providence today, taking on Boston College, the top seed. And then in the only quarterfinal matchup anywhere in the country between two ranked teams, it'll be Pittsburgh and Villanova. What an afternoon of action for you tomorrow on ESPN2. Tomorrow night, beginning at 7 Eastern, it'll be Connecticut and Georgetown, and then Syracuse against the winner of this game.
Talk about that Pittsburgh-Villanova game. That just illustrates and underscores the point of you got to take care of business during the regular season so you're not in that position. It's all about the seeding.
You have a great season, and then you draw that matchup in your first game of the Big East tournament, which, by the way, only has 11 teams. St. John's, a self-imposed situation where they decided not to play because of some NCAA sanctions. Marquise Webb for three, and Rutgers is up 7.
But St. John's removed themselves from NCAA post-season play, and in doing so, the Big East rule states that if you're not eligible for NCAA postseason play, you're not eligible to play in the Big East.
Chris Thomas, a tough fadeaway jumper, snaps an 8-0 run for the Scarlet Knights.
And that's where he has to understand and pick his spots, and that was the perfect spot to do what he did. As far as being very aggressive offensively, very spontaneous.
And now Gary Waters wants to use a 30-second timeout to set up a shot with just 34.9 remaining in the first half. Notre Dame at Rutgers here in a first-round matchup of the Big East Championship in New York City, presented by Aeropostale. The winner to play Syracuse tomorrow night in a quarterfinal. BC against West Virginia. West Virginia is a dangerous team, an extremely well-coached team. They've now got 19 wins. They've beaten Pittsburgh twice. John Beilein deserves a ton of credit. And Kevin Pittsnagel, you and I did the game down in Morgantown. Dior Fisher was under the weather. Pittsnagel went into the starting lineup. He's been one of the best players in the Big East ever since then.
Oh, it's amazing, again, what one game can do for a person's confidence. And Pittsnagel had been a pretty darn good player throughout his career in the Big East. Now, again, what he's able to do for his team, obviously, is step outside and shoot that three. And a lot of big guys aren't willing to come out there, and that's what makes West Virginia so dangerous.
Sean McDonough, Bill Raftery, and Jay Billis will have the afternoon games for you at 12 and 2 tomorrow afternoon on ESPN2. BC beat West Virginia twice during the regular season. No league, by the way, has ever gotten 8 teams into the NCAA tournament. 7 is the record, done 4 times, including by the Big East back in 1991. 5-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock in what's been a very good first half for Rutgers. Doobie trying to shake Carter. And stripped by Thomas. Lots of time here. Thomas. And underneath, Turin Francis puts a capper on a very big first half for him. Francis with 13 points and 8 rebounds in the first half, offsetting the lack of scoring from the usually potent Notre Dame backcourt. And it's really Turin Francis keeping the Irish in this game. They're down by 3. Let's go to Mark Jones with Mike Bray.
Coach, getting a great offensive boost from Francis inside, but how do you get the perimeter component going?
I just wish we'd defend a little bit better, Mark, right now. We've given up some transition buckets, and that's hurt us. But Falls and Thomas still have to look for theirs. I mean, they have the green light in this system.
Defensive adjustments against Shields, especially get into him on the three-pointer?
Well, I think we did a better job after the first 4 or 5 minutes of taking away three-point shots until Doobie's. We got to keep them off the offensive boards.
All right, thanks a lot for joining us, Coach. Guys, Notre Dame in a tenuous position right now, down at the half.
You got that right, Mark. Mike Bray knows what's at stake, and the Irish are down 3 to Rutgers here in New York City. Time now for the 7-Up halftime report. Chris Fowler, Digger Phelps.
All right.
Len, Dan, Mark, thank you. And as Mark reported, Chris Quinn with that bruised clavicle undergoing x-ray, so they may be shorthanded, but your concern, offensive glass, defending, that's what Bray said, huh?
Well, you got to look at how Notre Dame came out and played this game. Rutgers came out. Ricky Shields really did a great job. Only 1 for 8, 2 points that first game. But when he hit the threes and got it going, got 8 points. And then he went on an 8-0 run after Russell Carter put him up 1 for Notre Dame, 28-27. And that's been the difference before halftime.
Looking shaky. Get in the phone. You need to give him a pep talk.
Get in that locker room.
Highlights coming up at halftime. We'll talk about what happened in the matinee session of the Big East as West Virginia, needing a win, responded pretty well. Providence didn't show up. And a desperate, furious rally by Georgetown when the Hoyas really needed it. That plus updates when we come back.
And Fidelity Investments. Stop by your local Fidelity Investor Center today.